All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Before we begin, thank you to Finvents and Ayush and Abhimanyu for hosting me today. I know the country is going through difficult times, and uh, we have a lot to do otherwise also. So thank you for coming, everybody. I'll keep it short. We will not get into too much of Gyanbazi and stuff like that. I actually was going to talk about theory uh, some till yesterday, and just last night I thought ki we need to change the topic, and since everybody's coming in this difficult time, so I'll not waste anybody's time. And in fact, I'll end up talking. I'll talk about some of my secrets that I use personally and that I don't share with anybody normally. So most of the times if you hear me talk ever on TV or anywhere else, I talk about two things. I talk about technology investing and I talk about demergers. But there is one extra thing that I do and I generally don't share with anybody. And just as a gratitude to everybody, today we are going to talk about something really different. And it's very close to my heart. I don't discuss this with most people. Uh, all right, guys. So I think we'll not waste any time and we'll start right away with our presentation. As I've already given the introduction, I'll not get into the introduction bit. I'm just very happy that everybody could come in such a difficult time. Uh, let's get to the presentation right away. So I'll talk a little bit about myself. I'm Neil Bahel. I'm the co-founder and the fund manager at Negen Capital PMS. I started 3 years ago. In our third year of operation, we've already scaled all my expectations, and we ended up finishing second last financial year in the entire PMS and across all the funds in India. We returned 188.61% to clients. Last year was, in a nutshell, last year was good for everybody. There were no prizes to make money. Everyone made money quite easily. But let's put it this way, we made the most money. Uh, our fund focuses on two things. We mainly stick to special situations. Basically, that is value investing, and we invest in technology related areas. Basically that is growth investing. We figured out a way to merge the two styles of investing so that we are never underperforming the market, and whenever our strategy kind of clicks, we always would be at the top end of the PMS rankings. So this year it worked beautifully, and I'm quite confident that this kind of investing could work for a long period of time, because especially technology has entered a space where it's going to be structural growth. They are not going to have cyclical earnings whereby when the economy kind of weakens, the some of the cyclical sectors, the earnings drop off dramatically. So tech will not be like that. Tech will kind of increase their earnings for a long time to come. But we're not going to talk about special situation, in the sense we're not going to talk about demergers today, nor are we going to talk about technology today. We are going to talk about something completely unrelated. I have not spoken about this ever to anyone, and nobody talks about this. Basically, whoever you may have heard come on TV, biggest or the biggest investor, they don't kind of talk about this as a key focus area. But for me, it is one of the secret ingredients that we use for our investing style. Uh, there is a lot more to making money than whatever is spoken in a theory sense. There are some things which are very practical in nature that nobody talks about. So today we are going to learn about something. I'm sure we all know that there is something like this, but we don't have a watch list where we are tracking particularly this kind of investing. So there is one particular tool in the investing world that has helped me identify some of my biggest winners over the years. And not only my biggest winners, some of the biggest winners of all time have come from identifying this kind of investing style. And the best part is nobody talks about it. No one even, there's not even in the thought process of anybody. So what am I talking about? Before we kind of get into the whole sense of it, everybody does the same things in market today. everybody's portfolio would have the same kind of stocks. So how do you beat the bunch basically? So this is one saying that really has stuck to me since I started investing. Uh, in order to make money or in order to be the best, you need to do things which nobody else is doing. You need to identify your niche. You need to identify your own moat. For example, when we invest, we ask the question, what is so special about this company? We need to, as investors, ask us, what is so special about us? What am I doing that the other guy is not doing? So our investing strategy thinks about these three things mainly publicly when I talk about technology investing and demergers, but this third thing that I'm going to talk about now. So this is what I'm going to talk about today. New promoters bring new energy. So this is a part of special situations, but this is something which nobody talks about. What do you mean by new promoters bring new energy? I mean, what is so great about that? We all heard about some examples as to it happened in Sequent, it happened in some other companies where the existing promoters went out, but the new promoters came in. So what really changed, and why did it happen in the first place? It's important to understand the core part of it as to uh, why these things work. So we need to understand what is the pain point and why do these opportunities exist for us. So there are many reasons and there are many examples that I can give. Some of the things that came first to my mind would be, sometimes you have a good promoter who has created a lot of value in the past, but now, he's getting old. His children are not in the business. They want to do something else. So this person, this promoter is now, let's say, very old and he's just content. He's tired. He's content to just maintain what he has created. Some of the examples that I can give in this particular type of event is, DFM Foods was something like that. Very good brand. The company created a lot of value, but then suddenly there was no more fire to grow. So suddenly new promoters came in, and there was a lot of value creation happened in this kind of situation. Sometimes some different kind of situation why new promoters help is, the current promoter, for example, has questionable corporate governance. You know what I mean. Let me not get into the details of that, but there's questionable corporate governance, and due to pledge invocation or a variety of other reasons, he is basically forced out of the business. And new promoter with a clean track record comes in, and when this happens, no, the valuation skyrockets because for questionable promoters, no one gives the kind of valuation uh, it's the peer group gets. So whenever the in this category of promoter, when a new person comes in, the valuation skyrockets immediately. For obvious reasons, I will not talk about any examples over here. Uh, the next kind of situation is when a MNC player takes over a struggling business, which is currently having a low multiple due to variety of reasons, and integrates this business into its own system. A great example which happened just recently last year is Sequent when Carlyle Group took it over, and it just changed the entire profile and the growth trajectory of the company. And what they did, Carlyle has a lot of other businesses that they manage. So they just integrated this pharma business and into their ecosystem, and suddenly things improved overnight. Another example is Max India, where KKR, which is a global specialist, they bought in a very nice CEO and they changed the entire business overnight. Um, so a good example is also when an experienced and successful, ex-CEO, a management person, takes over a small business and completely professionalizes it and turns it around. If there is an example, this example happened many years ago. This happened probably 10 years ago or 9 to 10 years ago, is when there was a company called Future Capital, which was run by Mr. Biani. And that time Warburg Pincus came in and took over Future Capital from Biani and elevated Mr. Vaidyanathan as the chairman of the company. It was basically a management-led buyout. Mr. Vaidyanathan basically bought the company with the help of Warburg Pincus, and they completely turned it around his around his head. And what happened next was magical. There was so much wealth creation. They renamed the company. I think you may have heard the company's name. They renamed the company to Capital First. And Capital First, after this exercise for a few years, created a lot of wealth for its investors. Recently, they merged with IDFC Bank, and it's now going through a new process of wealth creation there. It's taking time, but I think that should happen soon. There are many more examples, but Ayush and his team have given me limited time today. So we will keep everything short and everything in terms of content. I'll keep it crisp. We'll not get into theory and we'll not get into doing too many things. We'll keep everything short today. So this is the first stock that I wanted to discuss. As you may have seen in clearly visible in this chart, this stock has been struggling since 2006 till about 2014, 15, 16, 17. I mean, nothing much happened in this company. It was going nowhere, let's put it that way. But what happened in the second part around here, there was some kind of a strange movement. I mean, it started to do something. And around this part, a deal was struck. A relatively unknown company came and took over and became the new promoter of this company. And the rest, as they say, was history. Uh, it was a small cap, and around 2018 up till 2020 was a very difficult time for small caps. And while that was happening, this company was creating a lot of value for its shareholders. I think some of you may have guessed which company this is. Let me not keep the suspense too much. Case study number one, we get a company called HLE Glasscoat. This is a very clear example of what I want to discuss today. You know, this style of investing really we must focus more on, because the examples, whenever I give the examples out, it reinforces my own belief in my thesis about investing in this kind of events when such events happen in a company. So the first case study that I like to discuss today is HLE Glasscoat. You know, in 2020 and 2021, everything went up. So let's not start with an example of this year, because it'll, let's rewind back to 2016 when there was no mania in the market. It was a normal market, and it'll give us a good proper sense of whether this kind of system works or not. In November 16, a relatively unknown entity from Ahmedabad, HLE Engineers, they bought a 51% stake in a company called Swiss Glasscoat. There was nothing special that we had heard about HLE Engineers, nor there was anything special that was happening in Swiss Glasscoat. It was a very kind of a deal which no one paid attention. No one cared. So they bought this company at 120 rupees per share, and they renamed the company to HLE Glasscoat. As soon as this thing happened, it was the start of one of the best value creation stories of our time, of the recent times. The previous chart explains the magnitude of what happened. It explains the magnitude of what happened. It was a 22 bagger in about 4 years' time. I'm sorry about my editing skills. It's a little bit amateur, but I'll keep improving. So it explains that it went up 22 times in 4 years. To put it in context, as I said earlier, this was a very bad time for the small cap index. In this same period, the small cap index from 2018 to 2020, the low of 2020, the small cap index had fallen 67%. It was unrealistically bad time for small caps. But when the small cap index was correcting, there was this one company which was busy becoming a multi-bagger. And HLE Glasscoat is not just one example. There are so many examples that we can't even count. And the beauty of it, the absolute beauty of it, is that no one is paying attention to this. Nobody. There are a few people who throw around the term special situation कि मैं भी करता हूँ and it's good and all, but no one is truly focusing on it. And even if they do special situation, they follow mainly the demergers, which has more of the mainstream attention. कि अरे this thing is doing demerger, so there will be some value creation. No one is actually paying attention when a promoter is changing, when a old promoter is exiting or a new promoter is coming, or when a shady promoter is getting out and a new better promoter is coming, or when a ex very good promoter, a very good CEO is taking over a small company and changing everything. One of the examples that we have not highlighted in this presentation, but you may have all known, which is happening today, is Subex. The management team changed and the entire attitude changed, and Subex went on to be one of the best wealth creators of this last year. So this kind of situation where the promoter is changing, we need to keep a close eye. And why is nobody paying attention? The big mutual funds or the big my big peers and all, because they don't care, because they are, the main job of the fund management industry today is to match the index. As I speak here today, or even when I write in my newsletter, I'm going to talk the truth. The truth is that the money management business is a business of not performing up to your best ability. It is the business of matching the index and being a little bit better than the index, and that's called alpha. So everybody is basically very conscious of the fact कि index कहाँ जा रहा है, and I need to be with it, or I want to be a little bit above it. The minute somebody follows something different and has a few months below the index, they see outflow. So fair enough to them also. But it's in nobody's interest to do this kind of investing. So as investors, and as retail investor or HNI investor, we don't have any issue, right? We can invest in whatever we want. So this is the kind of investing that we must focus on going forward. Let's kind of look at the next case study that we have. So Max India is always going to be something which is close to my heart. Max India has been one of the key reasons why Negen Capital PMS was one of the best PMS in India last year. It was our biggest position at the time, and everybody hated Max India. I mean, I can't tell you, everybody who I went with the thesis was either laughing at me or they were behind my back talking like, isko to shayad pata nahi hai kar kya raha hai. But it was an outstanding special situation. It was an outstanding demerger and promoter change, because it was a it, I mean it, I don't think in the recent times something like this good happened. This was basically the ultimate special situation. So I'll tell you why. To begin with, Max India had very questionable corporate governance standards, which meant that valuation over the years kept declining and went into a significant discount to its peers like Apollo or Fortis or any other global peers. So suddenly you had a situation where Max Healthcare had so many good hospitals all around India, largely a North player, but it was getting zero valuation because there were lots of question marks, and rightly so. There were lots of question marks about the current management and how the business was run. Then came a double boon. It it was really the best thing that I had seen at the time. A demerger was announced. Along with the demerger, a promoter change was also announced. So basically, whatever I focus on, both the things were available in the same one special situation. It was the holy grail. So KKR, which is a global turnaround specialist, along with Abhay Soy, who is a very good manager, they elevated him to being the CEO of their hospital business. He had previously turned around Nanavati and Radiant Healthcare, which is a Bombay-based company, and we knew that this person just knows exactly what he is doing. And it was not very difficult to add 2 plus 2 when he goes to and takes over Max Healthcare, suddenly the margins are going to go up, all the leakages will stop, and this will end up creating that the margin profile of Max will end up reaching the margin profile of Apollo, Fortis, and the global standards that are there. And the exact same thing happened. This gentleman, Abhay Soi, went there and turned it around from day one. It was so quick, so clean, the entire thing, the way it happened. It was, I mean, it was a dream come true. And we bought the stock just before the demerger happened. I remember it was 48 rupees. The value of Max, the hospital business was 48 rupees per share. That's where we bought it. And within 3 or 4 months, it delisted and it relisted after 3 or 4 months. Within that period of time, 48 relisted at something like 130 rupees. तो 3 महीने में आपका पैसा nearly about 2.5 times हो गया. And from that point, it shot up within a few more months to 240 rupees per share. I must admit that we did not hold it till 240. We exited a little bit before that. But whoever did this demerger plus promoter change, this case study, if you see, whoever did it, they made a 5x return inside 1 year. This was one of the most amazing investments that I would have done because there was no sense of randomness in it. It was it was just as if it was, it was going to happen. And when we did it, we were so confident, we made it our biggest position. We were like, jisko jo bolna hai bolne do. We believe in it and we know what is happening. And we made it our biggest position in our fund. And as they say, rest was history. And it went up in a big way, and it took us up with it, and ended up creating a lot of value for ourselves and for our investors also. But we have to always have original thinking in the market. The minute you start thinking about, what the big investors are doing, what the media is talking, or whatever is happening, you will never end up making the big money. We all must think our original thoughts. If I had listened to any of the big investors who I took this idea to discuss, they all said no. I would have never even gotten close to this company. Eventually, we backed ourselves, we backed our own knowledge and whatever we have learned in history. So me and my brothers we are basically historians. We know what happened many years ago, and you just have to follow history, because history is a good place to learn about. When a certain scientific event happens, the result is always going to be the same. So it's good that we followed our gut feeling and our research, and this was one of the biggest reasons why we ended up being the best in India last year. Now I'll give you case study number 3. Case study number 3 is the best case study of all times. It proves that this kind of investing can also lead to the biggest gain ever. So according to my opinion, as per my research, or I may be wrong, but the next case I'm talking about is going to prove that this kind of investing has resulted in the best gain ever in any kind of investing. So you may have heard of this company. A very special person runs this company. Let me just go to the next slide. Berkshire Hathaway. No one really knows, but Berkshire Hathaway is exactly what I'm talking about today. It is the mother of all special situations that happened in this world, and with an example of promoter change. In 1965, much before when most of us were even born, uh, Warren Buffett went and bought out Berkshire Hathaway at $14 per share, $14.86 per share. It was at the time a deal which nobody cared about in the market. As always, is the case with this kind of investing. Nobody pays attention. Everybody is looking to buy big things, bigger companies only. So Mr. Buffett bought this company, which was at the time a textile player, and it was struggling and it was losing money, left, right, and center. Buffett at the time thought that he will go and turn it around. and use the cash flow to fund other acquisitions and stuff like that. Uh, Unfortunately, he could not turn around the textile business, and the textile business had to be shut down after a few years. But in the meanwhile, Mr. Buffett had already started investing in other companies through this vehicle, and he had already started getting cash flow. And he turned around some of the businesses that he took with stellar success. I mean, some of the businesses are like Seas Candy and all, they ended up becoming huge investments for him. And the cash flow that he got from all his turnarounds, he could then take the cash flow and invest in other businesses. So he just kept repeating the same thing and over and over. Today, the stock price is $408,000. That is 4.08 lakh share, dollars per share. And while his actual investment price was $14.86 per share. And for obvious reasons, I have not even attempted to figure out what the KGAR has been what the actual gain has been. Um, Suffice to say, this has been one of the best special situations in history. And Berkshire Hathaway is a household name. Everybody knows Warren Buffett. But nobody kind of pays attention to the fact that I'm trying to say today is that this was a special situation at the time. And if we were around at that time, we would have probably invested in this kind of company also. I don't know in hindsight how much we would have bought or what we would have done, but it's exactly what we are doing today. So the hope is that today we end up landing upon some situation like this, which happens turns out over the next many decades. So this is the chart of Berkshire Hathaway. I think we should just take a moment and reflect on this. It's practically gone up from zero to 400,000 in over a few decades. And I don't think anybody can come close to kind of repeating this feat again. But if we follow this kind of investing technique where, uh, an average promoter is getting replaced by a much better promoter in a good industry, we can definitely make money. Actually, we should not lose money, in my opinion. But before we end this presentation today, I'd like to kind of give a disclaimer is that don't go out and randomly buy anything where something like this is happening, because there are always going to be exceptions. There are always going to be some idea which never worked out and the stock ended up going to zero. I also know a few examples where things didn't work out and the stock went to zero. So you have to do a lot of work. A lot of work goes in. But the standard blueprint of this kind of investing is that on the whole, it will work if you know what you're doing. And it will work in such a way that it will change your life. So the conclusion is that this kind of investing works. It doesn't just work, it works brilliantly. But unfortunately, I see as a fund manager, I meet so many investors. I meet probably thousands of investors every year. I talk to so many people in the media. I talk to so many fellow co-investors, uh, clients. I talk to so many people, and most out of them, or at least some out of them, are always panicked. They're always panicking, no matter what. At every given time, whether it is any year, take any year, 2000, 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12, 15, 18, 19, 20, 21, the same question. Market is too high. What market is going to do? I don't know what the market is going to do. 2008 में subprime crisis, 2010 में there were the telecom scam. Again, people panicked. 2011 के आसपास there was in euro there was a very much issue on the euro, and the European debt crisis happened more or less. Then 2013 there was the Indian rupee crisis where the RBI governor got replaced and Mr. Rajan came in and he just saved everything. And then Mr. Modi came, but then later there was demonetization and everybody again panicked, "Arey kya hoga?" And then the trade war, and then 2018 mein the whole small cap index started falling because of the trade war and other things. Then 2020 was the ultimate fall again, the COVID crash, let's call it. So always, all the time, people are panicked, but that's not how we must invest in the market. There's always going to be something that is going to be negative. But we need to understand market is a game of capitalism. It is designed or structured in such a way that over the long run, if we do SIP and invest in good quality companies and do follow a set of strategies, we should make money. More than timing the market, some famous person has said this, it's more important to spend time in the market. The whole concept of timing the market is a myth, in my opinion. It makes no sense to try and time the market. Yeah, by luck or by default, you will get it right sometimes. That ठीक है, आपने market time किया and you were absolutely right. Market went down by 20% and you saved a drawdown of say 20%. But there is no point trying to do that. When you're trying to do that, you're not focusing on what you need to do. You need to identify multi-baggers. And all these multi-baggers are hiding. There are today, I can tell you with utter confidence that there are going to be many stocks which will end up doubling this year. There are many stocks which will end up doubling next year. So we need to basically be focused on finding these kind of ideas and just forget about timing the market. This whole period where in 2018, 19, 20, where the small cap index and the mid cap index had a very difficult time, our Mr. HLE Glasscoat was busy becoming a multi-bagger. This particular stock was not bothered what is going on in the market. Examples where change in promoters resulted in multi-bagger returns are everywhere, not only in India, but world over. And in not just in 2020 and 21 where everything went up, so this also went up. It's not that. It's throughout all time frame in history. Any time frame you take, and not only the, I mean, we spoke about 1965 where Mr. Buffett took over this kind of business where he turned around a very struggling textile company. No one cared Mr. Buffett was doing it. I don't think even Mr. Buffett knew that he'll end up becoming so big. But this is the area we must focus on. Basically, investors should have conviction and they should follow their conviction and stay invested in the market. So when I say stay invested in the market, I don't say कि आज जो share है आपके पास, hold the same shares for next 30 years. That's just stupid. Nobody knows what the market is going to do or what the business is going to be even 10 years down the line. There are too many uncertainty. Obviously, we must book profit regularly, and we could even come in cash if we want to. That is our own choice. Even though I'm saying upper mein we should not. In the worst case, if you feel like, do it, but never ever the money should leave the demat account. Because I know a monster. The minute, and the monster is called expense. The minute your money will leave the demat account and reach your bank account, there are going to be 1,000 expenses ready. So you must protect your demat account, the funds in your demat account, and not remove it ever from your demat account. That is a rule that I follow. I have not removed money from my demat account in a long time. Instead, I try to focus on doing something else to earn money somewhere else for my expenses. The paisa जो demat में है should always remain there. Otherwise, Mr. Monster, who is the expenses, will eat it up. So this would be the end of our short, simple, sweet presentation. I did not want to waste too much time talking about theory, unnecessary gyan. Um, I just thought I'll share something which will end up helping everyone who came here today to earn some money and add some valuable, actionable insight to you. Hopefully, this presentation added some value to you. If it did, I'd be very happy. You could write into me on my Twitter profile, or you could write into Ayush and Abhimanyu from Finvents if you liked it. And we'll try to do something similar next time even if that is if Finvents calls me again. But we are not done here completely. We have something pretty cool lined up. One of the first finance events where we have a something giveaway type situation. So the iPad giveaway, we're not forgotten about this. So we got a lot of response and a lot of you have sent some amazing questions. We cannot answer them all right now. Uh, our team went over them and we pre-selected some of the questions, which I shall answer one by one. Uh, After answering, we will announce one winner. And for the rest of you who tried, I thank you for trying. I thank you for removing time in this very difficult situation that we are going through. Hopefully, the situation will become better. But thank you for coming. Read my newsletter regularly. There are going to be a lot many giveaways in the newsletter also. And let's wait for next time if you don't win today. So I'll just open my questionnaire that we pre-selected, and I'll just tell you which are the questions made up the list. And how we are going to distribute this iPad. Before I start with the question, we are going to distribute this iPad uh, because of the lockdown situation in Mumbai. I did not order the laptop, the iPad in. Whoever wins will have to give their address to Ayush or Abhimanyu or to the Finvent's handle. You have to give your address, and we will order it today via Amazon, and hopefully it reaches you wherever you are in a day or two. So the first question that we selected was from Mr. Prakash Chandra Guda. He asked, how do we build a long-term equity portfolio with high return KGAR? So I think this is a very relevant question. Mr. Prakash, you've done a good job. Uh, so how do we build a long-term portfolio? So as I said, we definitely should not look at the index and what the market is doing. We should stay away from this kind of thought process कि market क्या करने वाला है. You must select. So even if you are not an expert at doing special situations, or you're not an expert at picking out tech companies, you cannot you don't have even if you don't have time to you know do any kind of full-time work in the market, you can do a simple strategy which I like to call opportunistic SIP. Identify a group of good companies where the past growth rates have been good, or just simple enough, buy 2 or 3 high growth ETFs. Like there is a banking ETF where you get access to all the big banks. There is a Nasdaq 100 ETF which from where you get access to American tech companies जैसे कि आपके Netflix, Google, Amazon, Microsoft, all of them. So in a ETF, what you can do, what is the benefit of a ETF, especially a growth ETF, that you do not have to personally follow earnings of every single company. You can simply hide behind the ETF and know that the ETF has a list of 15, 20 of the biggest companies of that space, and you don't have to worry about the earnings. So in my opinion, Prakashji, you need to buy a group of ETFs and maybe a group of some solid companies, whether you want to buy Infosys, TCS, and every time the ETF or the group of your companies falls by 5 to 7%, you should keep adding some money from any peak. So आपने अगर आपका ETF का NAV, let's say it is 100 rupees, 100 rupees goes to 93 rupees, 94 rupees, buy some more. Or if it goes to say 115 rupees, and from 115 it comes down to say 107, 108, 109, buy some more. Basically from any peak, whenever your ETF or your portfolio comes down by 5 to 7%, you should add some money to your portfolio. So that is number one. Number two that we selected was some of your investment mistakes from Mr. Darshan S. So it's important to also highlight mistakes when we talk about winners and when we talk about good things that happened. It's important to also talk about the bad things that happen, because bad things happen with everybody and there's no running away from bad things. The important point is to learn from the bad things and improve your system, and firstly have a system. So some of the mistakes that I can outline that we made were not seeing the big picture. Uh, some years ago, there was a big demerger that happened in Adani Group, whereby uh, Adani Gas demerged and it listed at some point, and I was having a expectation that it will list at this point, but it listed 20 rupees above where I was expecting it to list. And for a small amount of 20 rupees, I did not invest in Adani Gas. Aage, everybody knows what happened. Adani Gas ended up, it was a demerger basically, and Adani Gas ended up becoming one of the biggest multi-baggers. And for a small little bit of, just to try to be absolutely right on my valuation part, I did not buy it. Instead, what I should have done, that even if it opened 20 rupees above my costing, I should have basically at least tried to buy a little bit and done an opportunistic SIP myself. I should have bought 75% or 65% of what I wanted to buy at that price and said, okay, if it comes down, I'll buy some more. If not, I have so much vision over here. I think in the next 5 years, this company will become much bigger. I should have not cried for 20 rupees. So it was a big learning for me that if you like something, do not worry about the valuation too much. If it is just little bit outside your valuation comfort, yeah, if you want to buy something at 100 and if it lists at 300, then forget it. But if you want to buy something at 100, if it lists at 120, don't worry, just buy it. If nothing, buy 70-80% of what you want to buy and then take it as it comes from there. Do opportunistic SIP in that sense. The next question that I'd like to talk about was how to create long-term wealth. This is a beautiful question, a very simple question, and I find in the most simplistic way we should live life. The whole problem of people in most of the people in market, they have complicated, highly complicated a very simple thing. For everything, there are so many subdivisions and so much panic and so much discussion. But a simple question you should ask yourself. This is the end goal, for everybody. How to create long-term wealth. So, in my opinion, long-term wealth is a function of your mental capacity and how you develop your mental game and how you become temperamental, uh, manage your temperament in the bad times. So, we should remain in equity, first of all. Uh, Everybody is different, I know, and everybody's risk appetite is different, but wealth can only be made in equity. We should not try and do real estate and we should not try to do unnecessary trading. I know trading mein bhi paisa banta hai and people have made money in real estate also. But over the last few years, most of the people that I hear are, have lost a lot of wealth in real estate and they've also lost all their wealth doing trading and FNO and all those kind of things. I know FNO mein paisa banta hai. There are many people who make money doing FNO, but they are the experts. For regular people, we should stay as away from FNO as possible if you want to create wealth. I'll tell you a story. Warren Buffett has a partner called Charlie Munger, but not many people know that there was one more partner. I myself forgot the third partner's name. He had one more partner, and uska problem tha ki he used to do leverage trading. So in the leverage trading matter, he ended up losing everything and he had to sell his shares to Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger. And had he just not done all these things, he could have been a significant billionaire by today. So how do we make long-term wealth? We make long-term wealth by staying in equity, by doing regular opportunistic SIP, by making a system, whether the system is to identify some fund manager or identify some strategy yourself or identify a bunch of ETFs and invest without fearing about what the market is going to do. Market upar jayega. Whether it will go up every year, that is not going to happen. But over a long period of time, market will create wealth and good companies will create even greater wealth. And if you do SIP, you will create most wealth of all. You will overtake everybody in your peer group if you remain invested in equity. So the third question was from Dev Jyoti. The question number 4 was from Mr. Vaibhav. He has a very interesting question, which again is close to my heart. Uh, he asks, will India become a manufacturing hub like China? And basically his question is, will India be able to compete with China? So, let me try and answer this the best way I can, as I'm not a big expert in this politics as such. But, you know, on the face of it, as things stand today, China has a lot of advantages over India in terms of cost of production. They always end up making the cheapest kind of goods. Their government basically supports all their industries, thereby giving them unrealistic cashbacks and stuff like that, so that they can dump. They have the lowest cost of all, and they can just flood all markets. But what has happened recently, thanks to the trade war and thanks to all the events that China has been doing recently, they've become so aggressive with all their partners. They're aggressive with Australia, they're aggressive with Japan, they're aggressive with Taiwan, they're aggressive with even America, they're aggressive with India. Because of that, a lot of trust has been lost with China. And there is a new theme that has emerged, which is called China Plus One, which I guess almost everybody knows. It's something which is happening. But the chemical theme, thanks to this China Plus One, could be a very big thing to watch out for. And in my opinion, yes, India should be able to compete with China thanks to this theme. And this could be a long-term wealth creator, in my opinion. So investors should definitely look at if they can find some demerger opportunity in the chemical space, or some promoter change kind of event in chemical space, or else just buy a basket of the top chemical names and say, okay, ठीक है, uh, these are the 4 5 top chemical names that I like. Say I don't understand, say you don't understand demergers and you're not an expert at it, no problem. You can identify the best of the chemical stocks, 5 or 6 of them, make a basket and say, okay, ठीक है, even if they are expensive, whatever it is, I know these are the best names like Aarti or whatever else, and you can just say कि मैं SIP करूंगा इसमें for the next 5 to 7 years, and just whenever that basket that you make falls 5 to 7%, keep adding. And I think over time, India will end up gaining a lot on China in terms of market share, especially in chemicals, and investor can make good money doing that. So this is one of the questions I thought was very relevant to where things stand in the investing world today. The next question we will take. So, we had ranked up questions, 10 questions, but we had ranked up in order. So what we'll do is we'll take the fifth one and we'll go quickly now. So because we don't end up wasting too much time. The next question is from Mr. Sanjeev that we had selected. Mr. Sanjeev P. You should just note Sanjeev P. So Mr. Sanjeev P asked us, can business trends be predicted with reasonable accuracy? So I found that this is a very relevant question. Like, बोल तो दिया बहुत कुछ मैंने, and many people talk many, like even the biggest of the biggest investors talk a lot of things about what they think a business could do, or what they think a certain event should pan out. So in the business world, and especially in markets today, things are changing at such an alarming pace. It's for the first time in the history that I can remember, my history since I've been in market, that for the first time I am personally unable to keep up with what is going on in the world. There is just so much happening that I feel I am lagging behind, and I'm lagging behind in a big way. If I end up reading about one thing, within a few days there are 10 new things to read and understand, because every day there is disruption, every day there is something new. The day I thought that I understood what is cryptocurrency, whether I should invest in cryptocurrency or not, the next thing is NFT. ये tokens आ गए. Now I have to understand what is the token. The minute you start to kind of get a sense of what are these tokens, then you have to go and figure out what is happening in pharma with some genomics. There is unbelievable pace at which the world is changing at. So you cannot predict. business the way you could earlier on? So in my opinion, this is a very, very good question that Mr. Sanjeev is asking. The sweet and the simple answer is no. No one can predict beyond a period of time what the world is going to do, especially on the business side, because things are getting disrupted at a pace at which I had never seen before. And hence, what is more important is that instead of blindly following anybody in market, either you give money to an investment manager to handle your money, or else you figure out what is working for you and just don't do anything blindly. In my opinion, the best thing anyone can do today is to buy a bunch of ETFs, that to not only one sector ETF, many different things, so that your risk is diversified, and then remain invested and do SIP. And I think that kind of investing would do good. I think with a reasonable amount of certainty, I think the technology space, a basket of tech companies, will gain a lot of market share going forward from traditional businesses. So tech is an area where I feel disruption will happen, but for the whole basket and for the big players, they will only keep taking market share.
Before we could proceed, sorry to interrupt you. Actually, we are having somewhere around 70 to 80 questions, plus all more are coming in the live Q&A. So before going, a few people are asking, do you want to answer a few live questions, 2 or 5 live questions before going?
No, actually, I have a lot many things that I've lined up. I had the time is done that I
Not
could
an
have
issue,
done.
Neil. Not an issue. Not an issue. So what we'll do is that I'll compile
So
the
just
list and
compile the remaining
yeah.
question. Give a window of 5 more minutes. Compile
Okay.
all the questions. Please email it to me, and we will announce
Okay.
the winner by 7:30. Before going, I just like to say one thank you to everybody. Um Thank you very much for joining us, guys. It's very important that all of us, take care of ourselves and our family. Just stay at home. I know we all know the severity of the problem. Uh, when we announced the giveaway, I did not know how bad it's going to be. Otherwise, I would have not done this right now. But since we had already done it, we thought the show must go on and we should finish it. Let's hope we all come out of this, let's say, misery soon, and get back to normal life. So stay safe, everyone. Thank you for coming. I thank everyone for coming, and I'm going to check each and every question that comes to me right now, and we'll make sure the giveaway is a genuine and proper giveaway. Thank you, Finvent's team to inviting me. Hopefully, we'll do more events together coming forward.
I'll just take. Can we take 2 more minutes from you, Neil?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll just take over screen from you for 2 minutes. Okay. So just a small request from all of you. This is our Twitter handle. I shared it in the start of the presentation as well, and this is Neil's Twitter handle. So we just request you to go over to either Neil's Twitter handle or our Twitter handle. Give us a short feedback of what you felt about uh, the whole event, and also here the link. I've also shared this link with you guys in the chat box. This is Neil's newsletter. He writes very good newsletter, so you can go over to the link and subscribe. And if you want to participate in the giveaway, you must be subscribed to the newsletter. And also, if you guys are not joined on our Telegram channel, we will be announcing a something special for specifically for the Finvents community. And we have a kind of a collaboration with the Nijan PMS regarding his small case, and we'll be announcing it by today or tomorrow. And if you have not joined our Telegram channel, I'll share that in the chat box itself. Okay, so that's all. I think with that we can end the session.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me over. We'll
Thank you
hopefully
so
we'll
much.
do many more
It was
together.
such a great pleasure to have you again on the platform, and hope to have you again, because
Sure.
1 hour with you is not enough to ask all the questions.
Perfect. Definitely we'll do more together. Take care, guys, and stay safe, please. Thank you. Bye.